In this video, we would understand how to write down the place values of big numbers. Numbers could be written with decimals or without decimals. So basically, numbers can be of two types. One is the numbers without decimals. The others are numbers with decimals. Example of a number without decimals is 3, 4, 5, 7, 9, 8. Example for numbers with decimals is if we have the same number 3, 4, 5, 7, 9, 8, decimal 3, 2. So if a number contains this small dot, this is called a decimal. Now here we want to remember one thing, that if a number is without a decimal, for example this case, it's not always technically without a decimal. It has an imaginary decimal, and that decimal always comes at the end of the number basically. It's just that we do not have any number after the decimal. That's why it's called a number without decimals. Now we know decimals are nothing but just a dot in a number. So this is a decimal. Number can go both left side as well as the right side of the decimal. Both the left side and the right side have their own place values. Left side is basically whole number place values and right side is decimal place values. So whenever the place values are considered for a number, there goes a decimal first. The numbers on the left side of the decimal are called whole number place values and are written as ones, tenths, hundredths, and these ones, tenths, hundredths place values are repeated again and again. Ones, tenths, hundredths. The only difference is that all of these ones, tenths, hundredths, they are categorized into separate categories. So this category is called units category. This category is called thousandths category. This category is called millions category, and so on. These categories are never-ending categories. Whereas on the right side, the categories are basically decimal categories. The first place on the right side of the decimal is called the tenths place. The next place is called the hundredths place. These have unique name. The next place is called thousandths place. The next place will be 10,000ths place, and so on. The difference between the left and the right categories is that there is no ones place on the right side, and every number place is going to end with THS. Let's take up an example to understand this better. Let's say we have to write on the place values of this given number, and the number is. So whenever we are given a number and then we have to write down their place values, we always divide the numbers written on the left side of the decimal into categories of 3. This is called International System of Classification of Numbers. So how do we divide it? As using a comma. So these are the first 3 numbers before decimal, then the next 3 numbers, and so on if we had more numbers. The first category is units category. We write down ones, tenths, hundredths. The next category is thousandths category. There is no THS in this case. Ones, tenths, hundred. The numbers on the right side, first place is tenths place. Next place is hundredths place. As we do not contain so much space when we write on the place value, so we can cut short it and we can write it down in a simple way. So if the number is 21345 decimal 28, we can write it as TTS. This can be written as HTS. This can be just written as ones, tenths, hundreds. This can be written as 1,000ths. This can be written as 10,000ths. This can be written as 100,000ths. Just to differentiate the left and the right side, here we can put lowercase t, hs. Similarly here lowercase ths. Here we can put an uppercase t and then h, so that we know this is thus, tenths, hundredths, and this is 100,000. Now if we are asked to write down the place value of 3 in the above number, now we know 3 is at 1,000ths place, so we would say 3,000ths. No THS please. Let's say next question wants us to find out the place value of 5. We know place value of 5 is at tens place, so we write on 5 tenths. Next, if we are asked to find out the place value of 8, we write down 8 hundredths. Similarly, if you're asked to write down the place value of 1 in the above example, we would write it as 1 10,000s. And this is how we answer the questions. Let's take up another example for the sake of practice. The question wants us to write the place value of 5 in the following number. We are not specified which 5 they want us to write on the place value for, so we would write on the place value of both of these 5s. But before doing that, we would write down them in a place value chart. And the place value chart is basically categorizing the places on top of the number. So we know this is a decimal. This is ones, tens, hundreds. We make sure that we put the categories with the help of commas. So we leave 3 numbers, put a comma, then 3 numbers, put a comma. This is ones, tens, hundreds. This is 1,000. This is 10,000. This is 100,000. And what is the next category is a million category. So this is 1 million. If we have number further bigger down there on the left side, so that would be 10 million, 100 million. And if we still keep on going further, we would have a number in billions category and so on. Now we are asked to write down the place value of number 5. So there are 2 spots where we see number 5. On the right side of the decimal, we know this is tens place, so we can write on TTHS. This is hundredth place, HTHS. Now there are 2 answers for this question. We write on 500,000. That's this number. And the other one is 5 hundredths. So this 5 hundredths is the place value for this number. And 500,000 is the place value for this number. Let's summarize everything. So whenever we need to write down or whenever we need to solve any place value questions, we always have to remember the place value chart. For writing the chart with decimal, you make sure that you put the decimal first. On the right side of the decimal, we would have tens, hundredths, thousands. If the number is still further more decimals, then we would have 10,000s and so on. So this is place of each of the numbers that are going to put underneath this. Before it, we would have ones, tens, hundreds. This is first category. We can separate different categories using comma. Next is going to be 1,000s. If you want to put an O in front of thousands, it's up to you. If you just want to remove O, it's also up to you. But next one is 10,000. We need to put this T there. Next is 100,000. Once the thousands category finishes, the next is a million category. We can straight away put in a million instead of a 1 million. We have a 10 million. Then we have a 100 million. This category finishes. Billion category starts. We have a billion. Next we can have a 10 billion. Next we can have a 100 billion. So these numbers are never ending story. All we have to remember is this place value chart if we want to decide the place of the digit in a given number.